State Capture Commission has found that President Cyril Ramaphosa was not honest in his evidence that the implementation of the recommendation of the high-level review panels on the State Security Agency was at an advanced stage. The Commission instead suggests that the documents with the findings of the panel have been put under lock and key. Chief Justice Raymond Zondo has recommended to Ramaphosa that investigations have to start again. Chaired by ANC veteran Sidney Mufamadi, the panel was tasked with providing advanced framework for the reconstruction of state security and intelligence. Among other issues, the panel found that the SSA had been a cash cow for many inside and outside the agency. It also found the SSA had been compromised by internal factional battles within the ANC since 2009. Now, in May, Minister in the Presidency, Mondli Gungubele, admitted to Parliament that progress towards the implementation of the panel's recommendations had been slow and must be expedited without delay. Zondo has also questioned Ramaphosa's decision to deploy former State Security Minister David Mahlobo as Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation, despite very serious findings made by the high-level review panel. Now, the report also criticized members of Parliament for protecting their own parties instead of fulfilling their oversight role. It recommended that Parliament consider introducing a constituency-based electoral system. For more reaction now, I'm joined by Brett Herron, good MP. Welcome. Very good afternoon to you. Talk to us about your party's reaction to the final reports that we have now scrutinized.
Hi, and Paul. I mean, there's still a lot to digest about the final two components of the State Capture Commission's report. But quite clearly, what has to happen now is the baton from Chief Justice Zondo to the criminal justice system has to be passed, and the criminal justice system has to demonstrate to South Africans who've invested goodwill and, as the Chief Justice himself said, a lot of love for the Commission. South Africans need to see that investment pays off. And by that, I mean the Hawks need to conduct their investigations, the prosecuting authority needs to conduct its prosecutions, and we cannot allow this Commission to have consumed so much of our time, energy and goodwill and to fizzle out without any consequences for those who've been implicated. So the most important thing now is for accountability and for the criminal justice system to demonstrate that it can prosecute in a fair and free manner without any political interference.
We heard Justice Zondo say that he has no regrets. I mean, 1 billion rand later, what do you think is the symbolic, accountability in terms of the final reports being submitted and South Africa's young democracy going forward? How symbolic do you think these reports have been and the work of the State Capture Commission?
Well, I mean, look, the fact that we had to endure almost a decade of state capture was very trying for South Africans because most of us could see what was going on. There was a lot of obvious evidence of state capture. The fact that we had the State Capture Commission, that it was so transparent, I think is unprecedented internationally. And so we can be proud that we confronted these allegations in the way that we did. And so for a young democracy to have gone through really two major commissions, the TRC and now this one, where we've aired our dirty laundry, is something that we should be proud of. But it would remain a concern, would be very, very disappointing if there was no follow-up. So the TRC, for example, there was no follow-up. 300 cases are yet to be prosecuted. And so this commission was a massive investment, and it is only meaningful if there is consequences that arise out of it.
There's been a lot of reaction and, of course, some, criticism around President Cyril Ramaphosa, saying now that he wasn't honest in his evidence about the implementation of the recommendation of the high-level review panel on the State Security Agency. He said that it was at an advanced stage, and it turns out that it wasn't so. What do you think this now means, or perhaps the perceptions that are now being created around the president?
Well, I think the Commission, from what I can see so far, there's still a long way for me to go to make a final assessment, but the Commission has been quite brutally honest about where the President may have failed the people of South Africa by putting the ANC first, and the President will have to account for that. But I think the focus of the reports, besides the ANC's involvement in deploying cadres into positions which would enable them to capture the state and its state-owned entities, the focus must really be on those that have been identified by the Commission for referrals for prosecution. And the President can explain to the people of South Africa why it appears that he put the ANC's interests before those of the country.
Multiple big names have been added now to the list of the National Prosecuting Authority, which is advised now to work through for potential prosecution for the state-capture crimes. Names like Duduzane Zuma, Hlaudi Motsoeneng, former President Jacob Zuma. Again, what do you now think, the NPA will need to do to ensure that it is indeed seen as a force that is willing and trying to ensure that there is accountability and that the work of the Zondo Commission is not work that will simply just be noted and not followed through?
Well, I mean, we need to see the National Prosecuting Authority start some prosecutions. Throughout this budgeting period that we've just concluded in Parliament, we've been raising as the Good Party a concern about whether the National Prosecuting Authority is properly resourced in order to take on these cases. South Africans really have invested heavily in this commission, both time and money and goodwill, as I said. And if the prosecuting authority fails to follow through with the prosecutions that are recommended, then our country is in deep trouble. So I think the prosecuting authority needs to show that they're ready to prosecute and that they will do so swiftly. And they need to demonstrate that there's no possibility of political interference in the process. So, I mean, we need to see some prosecutions of these big names. The Gupta brothers come up often in the report. Their extradition to South Africa couldn't be more timely. The application for the extradition relates to a fraud and corruption case in the Free State. But with the latest edition of the Zondo Commission's report, there are other charges now that could possibly be brought once they land back in South Africa. President Duduzane Zuma, he comes up as a key player, is also recommended for investigation for prosecution, and South Africans need to see this action.